Hello and welcome to We Got a podcast about Dragon Ball from A to Z, from Earth to Namek to Sadala. We cover it all. My name is Randy.
I'm Doug. I eat a bowl of nails without any milk.
And I'm Ken, the hero.
The hero.
All right. We are the world's strongest under the heavens trio de dangers here every other week to talk your ear off about fights, goofs, and everything else in the Dragon Ball cosmos. Douglas, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, buddy. Everything's going Doug today because I got invited to go to Otakon to compete in an Iron Editor competition. So I'm both excited and nervous and terrified.
Whoa, yeah. That's super exciting, man. Well, you deserve it. I mean, you kick ass at making those things.
I don't know. 2 hours are going to go by so quick because I make TikToks all the time that are 30-second clips. And those take me days. So I don't know how I'm going to manage to do a whole AMV. I think I can shorten the AMV down. You're allowed to shorten it down to a minute or whatever. But even then, man, it's going to be something. So I'm excited.
I'm really jealous. Not because you get to make AMVs, but because you get to meet up in person with like 2/3 of the people we play Mario Kart with.
That'll also be really fun. Like, I think, Ken, if you didn't convince me, I wouldn't have done it. I would have just been content with just being like, I got invited, but I said no. I would have been content with that. But I think you gave me that little push, and I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Why not?
What's the worst that could happen? You have a good time with friends? My
anxiety is telling me a lot of things, but yeah.
I'm no stranger to that. Ken, what's new with you, my man?
Well, I keep saying I'm not in my gaming phase anymore, and then I keep playing video games. I played Metroid 2, so I've been on a tear the past couple of years of going through, and I play about one Metroid a year. Started with Super Metroid, then I played Zero Mission, then I played Prime 1, and now I'm playing Metroid 2. So I'm kind of going all out of order on these. It's the worst of the Metroids, but it's still a great game. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have a map. But then, like, once you understand the shtick of the game, then it's like, oh, okay, I understand what's going on, and then you understand why a map's not as necessary as it is in the other games. But,
you don't ever have a map?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
This is the original Game Boy version, I would assume.
Right, yeah. I went OG. I didn't play AM2R. I didn't play the 3DS remake. I just went with the original one.
Straight
and man,
up. Oh.
It's got some bad music in it. Like, so you have the main theme, right, when you land on SR 388, and it's like, oh, hell yeah, this is like good exploration music. And then you've got really corny music in the game. It almost sounds like you're at a carnival or something when you're in the Chozo rooms, and and then the rest of the music is like beep boop beep boop 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 beep boop boop, and it
doesn't match the energy of the game.
Yeah, so the music was lacking. But
well, wait, so Metroid 1 is on like Super Nintendo or Nintendo, and then
NES.
The sequel is on just the Game Boy.
Right, yeah.
Like the official 2? Oh, okay.
Yeah, NES, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, and then nothing until... Oh. Well, then we had some Game Boy games. And
Game Boy Advance is...
Right, Game Boy Advance,
Fusion, which is 4.
But then we went to Wii. So, like, on console, you skipped Well, no, it was GameCube. I'm all out of sorts on this. Anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Forget about Metroid. Let's move on to my big anime adventure, okay, guys? Ooh. I have a ton of anime, and I'm not watching it. So I have made like an effort to watch one episode of anime a night to get through everything, okay? So I started with G Gundam, okay? So I'm on episode 7 of G Gundam.
It's right there.
Yeah. And I'm going through. So here's some of the things I'm going to be watching. G Gundam. I'm going to finish Outlaw Star. I only have like 6 episodes left.
Dude.
Nice. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. I'm going to watch both gigs. Dot Hack Sign. Hajime no Ippo, if you guys have seen that, it's a stellar boxing anime.
The boxing one?
I can't recommend it enough. I've watched it way back, like freshman year of college, but it's incredible. And whatever you think it is, it's not, and it's way better than what you're expecting.
I'm excited then.
Paranoia Agent, which I haven't seen since like it first aired on Adult Swim.
On Toonami or yeah, Adult Swim.
Serial Experiments Lane, which I've never seen.
Whoa, get ready.
I'm going to rewatch Slayers Next and Try.
You're skipping original?
Well, okay, sorry. Slayers, next, try.
All right.
I watched those way back on VHS way back in like high school. So I'm going to go back and watch those. That was over half my lifetime ago now. I don't really remember the shows. I'm going to watch the the Deke dub of Sailor Moon.
There you go.
Oh no, why?
And then I'm going to watch Space Dandy, which I've never seen.
Oh yeah, I heard that was good too. Dang, there's a lot of things I should watch on there too.
So yeah, I'm going one episode a night. I think I can make that commitment. For the most part, I've already missed a few nights, but I'm like, okay, that if ever there's not something I have to watch, I'm going for whatever anime I'm on. So
nice.
Okay, cool. Yeah, keep it consistent.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the middle of I'm actually in the middle of a rewatch of Outlaw Star myself. I think last one I watched was episode 14, or it might have been 15. I think it was 15. The ice cream one, you'll probably know. If you've only got 6 episodes left, you know which one I'm talking about. The one with the crappy ice cream. Anyway, fine, whatever.
Maybe I didn't. No? Maybe I'm more than 6 episodes left. I don't know.
But yeah, it's good times. That's a lot of really good stuff you got there, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. What have you been doing, Randy?
Well, if you're watching this, things might look a little bit different. I moved successfully. I'm alive. Everything is all in one piece.
I lived, bitch.
Actually, things are in more of a piece than they were
at your previous.
Yes, because when I previously moved 2 years ago, I'm not sure. I think you might be able to see it. There's a Trunks figure somewhere around here, and the sword in his hand broke so that the handle was still in his hand, but the blade had broken. And I'd set that aside, and I'm like, I'll glue that one of these days. And then I was packing my drawer, and I noticed, oops, it's still in pieces. And here's the glue. I'll just glue this together, and I'll pack him tomorrow. So now he's fixed, and so yes, things are back into a piece. So yeah, that's nice.
As SH Figure Arts collectors, we know all about Trunks' sword not being super sturdy.
Yeah. Now, this is your second move since you started the podcast, right?
Yep, that's right. So
wow.
Hopefully,
moving on up.
Yeah, I'm in a house now, which is
you got a window.
Cool.
They give you a window now. That's good. You can see the outside.
I got a window there. I've also got a window right here. So.
Oh man, talk about living it up.
Granted, I'm looking at my neighbor's siding, so that's a great deal. But other than that, guys, the hyperfixation is strong. Kingdom Hearts came out on Steam about 3 weeks ago. It's been my life. I played through Kingdom Hearts 1. I played through Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, both Sora and Riku's story. I've watched 358 over 2 days, that whole movie thing. I'm about halfway done with Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, it's
wow, man. You feeling a little heartless after all that?
Yeah, well, it's better than feeling like a nobody.
Hey,
there you go.
Now, what if you play through these games so hard you get burnt out and then hate them?
Impossible. I've played them so many times. Well, so and also I'm cheating. I've given myself the Ultima Keyblade and everything from the start. Screw it. I've played these so many times. I don't got nothing to prove to nobody.
Yeah.
So
it's a single player game. Do whatever you want. Who cares?
Yeah.
Live
exactly.
Your life.
So it's a good time. And I'm excited to be done with you guys and get back to it because it's
get the hell out of here, guys.
Now, are you doing anything different? Like, are you playing in Japanese to switch it up?
I considered it and I decided not to. So no, I'm not really, so much so that I am embracing the nostalgia because when the final mix versions of these games came out in Japan after the US releases, for whatever reason, they decided to recolor all of the enemies, so they all have different colors, and I hate it. So thankfully, there are mods out there for you to put the original coloring on everything, where it isn't like, no, make it how it was in 2002, and so I can be happy, because when things are yellow, when they're supposed to be purple, I get real angry. So
you're
same, yeah. When Trunks went Super Saiyan, I got mad too.
Yeah, just furious. That is a good one. But I'm going to stop talking about Kingdom Hearts because I'm going to get emotional.
Oh, no.
Sounds like you're about to hiccup.
No, I have, I don't know, some soda in my throat or something. But we're not going to talk about Kingdom Hearts. We're going to talk about something else entirely today. Guys, we're back to talk about Sandland. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't you guys do that already? We did. We talked about the manga, but we're doing stuff a little bit different.
But I got a figure now, so it's different.
That means Doug's entire outlook has changed from the previous time he experienced this story. So I'm going to take you on a little journey here so that in case you don't know what Sandland is and all that, the whole thing, I'm going to utilize all of this research we did a year ago when we talked about the manga, and I'm just going to copy paste it, add in some new stuff. So here we go. So Sandland was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump magazine from May to August 2000. That's right. It is old. It's not new. And was collected into one tankobon volume in November 2000 by Shueisha. Sandland was then put in North America by Viz Media in their English Shonen Jump in 2003, later released in one graphic novel in December of 2003. And then we have a CGI film that was co-produced by Sunrise, Kamikaze Doga, and Anima, and was released in August 2023 in Japan with a international release slated for 2024, and it's July. Anyway, an action role-playing video game was developed by ILCA and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment, released in January 2024. I played the demo.
How was it?
What we're going to be talking about
Well,
time.
I do want to say I might play that game after everything we just experienced.
I admit I'll probably pick it up on a sale and give it a try. I've heard good things. It's just the demo was not a good show.
I got an email today. It's on sale. The collector's edition with the Beelzebub figure.
Ooh, really?
Don't you just have that?
I mean, it's
there?
down from $2,000 to $1,500, but still,
Oh, okay. Well,
it's good. It's a sale.
We know Doug. He can't resist a deal. So
Shut up! You don't know my life. You don't know. Go on. I'm sorry.
as the evidence is literally a mountain behind him. Anyway, for this episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking about that CGI film, which was then adapted into an ONA, an original net animation.
I don't like this.
You don't like that?
I don't like ONA.
Why?
I've seen it in a few places now. I hate it.
No.
Oh no!
It is what it is.
It's here
man.
to stay.
We could just call it a show.
Yeah,
just call it an anime.
ONA.
You know, separating it into ONA is some boomer stuff, okay?
Okay.
I still wrap my head around OVAs. I'm like, wait, what's an OVA compared to a?
That's like saying like, oh, it's not a real core of anime, not a real show unless it aired on TV Tokyo over here or Fuji TV. It's like, oh, it's an ONA because it's on the internet. No, that's a boomer level crap, okay? It's just an anime.
Sure. Okay. Well, it was turned in, this whole movie was recut into an anime series.
Thank you.
That aired on Disney Plus. Well, not Disney Plus, Hulu in the US. I think Disney Plus everywhere else in the world. And that anime series comprises the story of the original manga, which is now known as the story of the Fiend or Demon Prince arc, and then a second story arc, which is the let's see, what was it here? The story of the Angel Hero arc. Yeah. So
that's a good naming convention for what they ended up doing with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to differentiate it. Last year, we covered the manga. So with that first story arc in episode 62 of the podcast. So if you missed that, pause now, go back, listen to that, and then come here for
listen. Yeah.
Yeah, so, for a little bit more.
Let's talk a little bit about that episode because Randy and I went back and listened back to it. And Doug, at the time, you were pretty low on Sandland.
Yes.
And how dare you?
I remember.
I was so mad re-listening to that episode. Now, of course, at the time, Toriyama hadn't passed yet. We were still talking about him in present tense.
Right.
But for some reason, now that he's gone, I got so extremely mad at you, Doug.
You got offended.
Literally, yeah. I was like, how can I say this?
What did I say? Toriyama's lost his steam, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I said.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I want to remove all that. Can I get into what I feel about this series already? Or are we jumping too soon? Whatever. I loved it. Well, I was going to say that. This was a fantastic experience, man. This is my shit now. So, yeah. I'll let you get back to whatever you were.
It's because he has a figure now. That's what it is. It unlocks the love in his heart.
There's a correlation. I don't know, but...
I just need little pieces of plastic in order for me to attach myself to something. And that's okay. We're all different people. That's okay. So I'm going to take this, which was the synopsis that we used last time, because it's applicable. In the far future, war has ravaged the entire Earth, leaving only a barren wasteland called Sandland, where the supply of water is controlled by a greedy king. However, thanks to the efforts of a former war hero, a demon prince, and a resourceful thief, Sandland's water supply has been restored and its overbearing government neutered. While running an errand for the Peachy people, Rao, formerly known as Shiva, stops to pick up Beelzebub and Thief on his way to the Peachy Sanctuary. What grand adventure awaits the world of Sandland next? And I introduced that thinking that it was the same thing I left there earlier, but Ken went in and he got his little fingers in there. He rewrote it to be appropriate for what we're talking about. So, Ken, good job. Tripped me up, but that's
Thank
okay.
you. Yeah.
We'll do temperature check in just 1 second. I just wanted to go over a couple of other quick things, which is the voice cast for this. Now, I watched it in Japanese. Ken, I know that you had talked about some of the dub actors. Did you watch it dubbed, or did you just check in and see how that was?
I watched the whole thing dubbed, and I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
Hey.
When I watch over on your Plex, Randy, it defaults to English. So I get like the first few seconds of it in English. I'm like, oh yeah, this doesn't sound bad at all. But I decided I wanted to watch it in Japanese all the way through for the first time. Which with saying that, I guess we'll reveal it now, but I didn't know. It kept bugging me who the voice actor was for Beelzebub. I kept bouncing up and down between like, wait, is that Luffy? No, wait, it might be Naruto. No, is that Edward Elric? And like, I kept bouncing up and down, but I settled on Luffy. Am I right?
No.
For the Japanese actor or the dub actor?
Yeah. The Japanese voice actor.
Well, that would be
no, it is not
Mayumi
Luffy.
Tanaka, who is Kurita.
Right, and
it's
Right, Luffy.
right.
Yes.
But it's not.
What?
it's not Mayumi Tanaka. It is actually...
she was in white.
She does not. No, it's Mutsumi Tamura. So I've got some things here. What these actors, you might have heard them in other things.
Yeah, it sounds so familiar that I'm like, that has to be one of them.
Mutsumi Tamura plays young Kakashi in Naruto. So anytime there's a flashback, that's Kakashi.
That wouldn't.
Hermes Costello in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean.
Never seen JoJo.
Koshiro Izumi, or Izzy, in Digimon Adventure 01.
Don't watch Digimon in Japanese.
That's fair. Well, there's other stuff that she's in. But those are all things that I recognize.
I was so convinced, because it sounds really like the voice actors for Luffy, Krillin, in Japanese a little bit. Like, I guess a mixture of all three of those characters, maybe, because I kept bouncing up. Like, it's got to be one of those characters, but maybe not. I mean, obviously not, but yeah.
Right. Rao, Kazuhiro Yamaji, is this guy named Makoto Date in Yakuza Like a Dragon, so on and so forth. Also Sid in all of the Final Fantasy VII things over in Japan.
Does that include Rebirth?
Yeah.
In which
they didn't change
Sid
the voice cast.
Sid is 30?
That's right. Kenny Ackerman in Attack on Titan, and this guy named Hit in Dragon Ball Super.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, I didn't know either, but it's been a long time since I've heard Hit, I suppose. Thief is an actor who just goes by Cho. That's it.
Wow, that's badass.
Things that I recognize: Brook from One Piece, Jaken from Inuyasha.
Oh, I think he's someone in GT too. That sounds familiar.
I didn't go all the way back. Maybe I missed one. General Are is Satoshi Tsuruoka, who is Bison in the U.S., Balrog reverse that. Bison in Japan, Balrog in the U.S. for Street Fighter. Tamami Kobayashi in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable. And let's see, we had An, who's Mikako Komatsu, who's Maki Zenin in Sorcery Fight.
Jujutsu Kaisen if you're nasty.
Yes, and Linkle in Hyrule Warriors, if you ever played those games. Muniel, who is our new antagonist, or one of them in the second story arc, who is Ayumu Murase, who is Elindira in Trigun Stampede, the little blonde evil girl that was there.
Okay.
Ginro in Dr. Stone, and also Beck from Mighty Number 9, the critically acclaimed video game that everybody loves.
Iconic.
Definitely iconic.
Yeah. And then we had Bread, who's Tesho Genda, Shu, General White in Dragon Ball, Bojack in Z Movie 9, the younger Toguro in Yu Yu Hakusho, Guile in Street Fighter, Kurama, the big demon fox in Naruto. So, his list goes on forever, but that's just a few of them. So now that we know that, and I've talked for, I feel like 8,000 years.
And everyone keeps up with everyone's names who's listening.
Yeah, exactly. Doug, you said that you loved it. You loved this.
Dude, I don't know what I was smoking when I read the manga or whatever. I must have just been like, my peanut brain just reading a book just doesn't do it for me or something. Because like, Toriyama's super skilled at manga, as we all know, but I guess maybe I was rushing or whatever, but in animation form, watching it in animation, things made a lot more sense to me. And just the charm of the voice actors, the Luffy, Naruto, Edward Elric voice actress is incredible, and I loved it. And yeah, the whole story in and out, it's very simple and contained, which gets a little more not convoluted, but a little more adventurous in the second arc. I still enjoyed both. Man, when that intro theme song played at the end of the episode 1, dude, that song, oh my god, it was so good. That song, I never skipped the intro after that. Such a good song.
Well, I didn't like the intro at first. It grew on me. I ended up liking the ending theme a lot more.
Oh, I hated the ending theme for some reason.
No,
So I'm on the opposite end of that.
I loved it. And Doug, if you said you didn't ever skip the opening and the ending,
yeah.
Well, I don't know if you skipped the ending, but
I didn't pay attention to it. Yeah, a little bit here and there.
It changes in the second half, and the ending changes twice. It changes in the second half, and it changes in the final episode.
I started like picking up, seeing if I would see new characters, and I did see the Angel character, but I don't know the second change.
Well, they add in Anne and Longo. They're in the intro.
Oh, okay.
They're dancing there.
Okay.
And
Oh, okay.
Brad shows up in there as well, but
I was too busy dancing when the theme song came on, so I wasn't looking at the screen. I was just like, oh,
That's fair.
it has all beats of just a good anime intro. It's incredible. I love it.
it goes all over the place. And
Yeah.
to the point where when I was listening to it the first time, I would have thought if it weren't named Water Carrier, that it was just like some random licensed song. But it grew on me as I went through. So I do like that song
You do
now.
like
and
it, yeah.
Probably obtain it one way or another.
Oh, I immediately added it to my playlist, like my daily. Like, it's not just anime music on there. It's like my regular pop and hip hop music, but I'm adding this anime intro into there. Like, it's that good for me.
Yeah, I had nothing to latch onto it with. I didn't think it was catchy at all or anything in the beginning. But it grew on me. It grew on me, Doug. And I will have to go ahead and admit that with anime, whenever they change the intro, it always takes me like 5 or 6 episodes before I come around on it, with like the exception of JoJo, in which they're all bangers right away, except for that one awful one in part 4. Chase is like one of the worst anime intros of all time, and it never gets better.
I'm usually the same, but this intro immediately at the end of episode 1 got me. I'm like, what is this fucking song? This is incredible.
Well, I'm glad you liked it because it set the perfect stage for you to love this. And
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I was telling Randy, I said I was going to like inflict digital violence upon you if you didn't like this.
I had a smile on my face in my mind. I'm like, they don't know that I actually do. And I did enjoy this for once. I'm not a stickler.
Yeah.
A stickler?
Stickler, that's the word.
No, Strickler is right, I think.
I loved the whole thing. I thought it was 10 out of 10, top to bottom, finish. I thought the second half of it was incredibly strong. And I was so shocked that for something in which we can talk a little bit about Toriyama's involvement in the second half of it and what exactly it was, but it was...
Oh, he did have some. I didn't know that.
He had some involvement, but it's not a story that he led. And I was sitting there thinking, like, we just watched GT, and a legacy group coming in and trying to follow up something that Toriyama has done.
Yep.
GT floundered. This, I think, succeeded. These people understood Toriyama's soul and storytelling. I mean, just even down to
comedy bits.
There was one scene where it was Brett and Muniel talking, and they're like disagreeing with what to do about the Aquanium and stuff. And I'm like, two bad guys talking to each other, and that's how we're learning about them, and like classic Toriyama stuff like that. And they just got it. And I think the CG was incredible.
Yes.
I thought Superhero was the best anime CG I'd ever seen.
Yeah, for me, not even. Like, I still was on the train of, like, I don't like the CG that they're incorporating in anime, but the CG, they did really well. Like, I was really impressed with it. It's great.
I couldn't believe it. Some of the music, in the soundtrack, the OST of it, right?
Yeah.
Was catchy. Like, when the heroic, like, Beelzebub's going to win the day theme starts kicking in, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. I know what this is. And then there's one song that's got orchestral beats in it. And I think it's when they're doing the siege on Garum, and they're like driving around all the mech tanks, and there's some sort of like orchestral, there's vocals to it that was kicking in. I was like, oh, this is a jam, dude. Damn. I loved it. Yeah. And again, I can't speak enough praises. I didn't watch this in Japanese. I watched this in English because I wanted to, I'm kind of like entering back into a dub phase, but anyways, good dubs only, and then like meme dubs like G Gundam and Sailor Moon. But I wanted to check this dub out because I wanted to have that viewpoint of it for this podcast, and I think the dub was incredible.
I couldn't say that any voice actor besides Beelzebub was like a standout character voice, because then Rao could have just been any older guy, and Thief could have been any older guy. Like, the voices could have been with any voice actor, could have came in and did that same job, except for Beelzebub. That one was a very standout voice.
I thought they were all standout in the dub, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So
still, they did amazing. I'm just saying, like, it's like, oh, okay, insert generic older man for Rao voice actor here. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Whoa, put some respect on Date, my dude.
Yeah, come on.
Maybe I just hear his voice so often that I'm just like, yeah, that's the voice I hear when I think of an old man like that.
All right, Randy, what did you think?
Okay.
Oh, here we go. All right, digital violence. Here we go.
Digital violence. Here we go. All right. Maybe you could convince me of some things. I really enjoyed watching it. I had a good time. I have nitpicks. So when you guys talked about the CG animation, loved it. I agree. It was pretty good. When we got it, there's a thing that Japan, for their CG anime, they love to do, and it ticks me off, which is, all right, we got CG. Well, we've got this one effect that we're going to do, or this character interacts with this one object, but we don't really want to put in the time to figure out how to CG animate that. So we'll just have that 2D animated. That's fine. Anytime a character jumps in water and they are splashing, it's 2D animated. Anytime, like, there's that one time where I think has like a hood on when she's like in the crowd. 2D animated every time until that comes off. Immediately the next shot back to CG. I'm like, this really takes me out of it. I can't stand when this happens. I mean, Superhero did it too. Like, Videl and a whole bunch of other stuff is like 2D animated, which I don't think I complained about it before, but whatever the producer was for Superhero, and I know these are two different production companies that did this, it's like, oh, I want to have a big bombastic CG Dragon Ball thing because it deserves. It's going to be just as good as all that other stuff that America pumps out. I'm like, I don't remember a Pixar movie where they're like, we didn't want to make a model for this character, so we just drew somebody in the background. Like, that doesn't happen, man. You guys got to step it up.
Your artist mind thinking, because I didn't think about that even once. But I get where that's coming from. That mindset comes from, because I do that with like movies when people make editing decisions that I wouldn't. It takes me out of the movie, and I just think about the editing choices. So I guess it's similar in your aspect.
So, Randy, I think this is just going to come down to a personal preference thing for you two, because I noticed it as well every time it happened, especially the thing with the water. There were a couple of other instances where suddenly, like, Thief would be 2D. But I still like welcomed that almost. I was like, oh, cool, I'm getting to see them in 2D. I was excited by it and not turned off.
Yeah, it just kind of,
I think for the
got under my
casual
skin.
viewer as myself, like, I didn't notice anything like that. So I think it's just you artists that will pick up on that, really.
That's true. And the thing that I was hoping you guys could convince me of is the second arc, the Angel Hero one. I felt that I loved the original manga, and that story is so good and like sticks to its themes and is just like a powerhouse all the way through. And the second arc, I was just like, what are the themes of this? Who are we really focusing on? We've introduced An, but I don't think she does enough. I was waiting for her to be like, well, I'm, half this or whatever. Like, I absorbed part of the, power of the night, and now I can, kick some ass or like do something cool or whatever. I'm like, okay, she didn't really do anything. Rao is kind of pushed aside. That's fine. He had a whole story arc in the first one.
Yes, I was going to say, if I feel like the first half was actually more a Rao story than a Beelzebub story, I do feel like this second half is more of a An story than it is actually contrary to what you're saying. I think it is more of an Anne story, and she's like the center focus.
So do they call her An in the Japanese version?
No, I think they called her Anne, even with the Japanese
Anne
accent.
in the dub. Yeah.
Randy's throwing me off. He's like, he's doing the pawn thing.
I was just looking for clarification. I'm not trying to jump on Randy. Okay.
They might have said on, but I don't know.
So I liked that Anne never, because Randy, I too was expecting Anne to open up and absorb the power of the night, but I think it's that Toriyama subversion that she doesn't.
Yes.
And even in the last episode, when Jam and Lilith are talking about what Anne's doing next, and Lilith's like, oh, she's going to, work on her mechanic prowess or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that's the side she's half demon, but she's not choosing that side.
She's not choosing to be that, yeah.
And so anyways, so that's my argument for Anne.
It is also kind of like, they don't just throw it away to the wayside, like, oh, you have this, but you're not using it. Because I think Beelzebub invites her to like soak up the night darkness with me, but she's like, I'm still new to this. I just realized I'm a half demon today. I'm not doing that. I don't know how to do that or whatever. So it's like, okay, there's that little acknowledgement at least. But I was kind of with you, not with you, but I wasn't as in love with it as Ken was, that second arc. It took me a bit to like, near the ending, it was all amazing, but getting going, I did feel a little bit of like, what are we doing here? Like, what is all this? But I feel like it naturally got to a point where I liked all the characters and I got with what they were all doing. But it did feel like Kim was saying that the two bad guys talking to each other, that almost felt like a direct copy of the previous arc we just had with the General R and Zhao.
R.A. and Zayu.
Ari and Zayu, yeah. This is why I don't read Twitter comments, because I can't read.
It's not that you don't, it's that you can't.
I can't.
Kidding, of course. I really liked Muniel. Just because so theatrical and just, enthusiastic and wild about
his wings. His wings or lack of really bothered me. I was just grossed out every time the shot was like naked skin. I was like, oh, this is what I want to
it's really gross. He is just the perfect embodiment of a little shit.
Yeah, 100%.
And like a perfect like combatant to Beelzebub, like same height kind of thing, and just a little like brattiness.
Well, angel versus demon. That's all that we're doing. That's pretty good.
Somewhere in my notes, I wrote down Vegeta Goku rivalry. And if they ever pick this back up in a season 3 or season 4, I totally expect him to come back and he's working with Beelzebub against some greater threat or something.
Dude, I want to see a crossover. I was half expecting like them to do the I forgot his name, Jocko route, where like they kind of tied into Dragon Ball somehow. Because isn't Zenny the currency here, or is that just a Toriyama thing he does for all his manga?
So Zenny is the currency in Dragon Ball and in Sandland. Muniel has a Whis-like staff.
Yeah, that's
and is an angel.
Immediately I noticed that.
We've got the direct thing of Lucifer or Satan looking just like Dabra, as well as Lilith's outfit is extremely reminiscent of Toa's.
Yep.
I was too busy enjoying Lilith's outfit to notice anything like that.
Very true. But so Toa, for those who don't know, is a character who comes from the Xenoverse games. Maybe she came from Super Heroes or something.
Online.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But she's a Toriyama creation. Mm-hmm. And she is Dabra's sister and has the same kind of outfit as Lilith. So.
Oh, wait, I didn't know all this lore. Wait, go back? What?
Yeah. Toa is Dabra's sister.
So Dabra is Beelzebub's brother?
No, Toa is from Dragon Ball Online and Dragon Ball Xenoverse. She is a villain there.
So in the Kanzenban release of Sandland, there's a question directed at Toriyama. It says, Dabra from Dragon Ball and Lucifer in this work are quite similar. What sort of mental image do you have for demons? And Toriyama says, I think there are all sorts of demons, but my personal image of the highest ranking demon is definitely that of Dabra or Lucifer.
Okay. He's just copying himself then.
But we do have a multiverse in Dragon Ball, so there's not really anything saying that this couldn't just be like Earth or Universe 9 or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, not even like super multiverse, like thinking of like an MCU type stuff. Just like a throwaway thing, like Goku seeing a Raleigh in Dragon Ball Super. Like having like one little fun little romp like that would be fun to see them together.
Well, now, Doug, I hope I didn't spoil you when I drew this, but I drew something on Twitter that was at the end of this like baby angel thing shows up and says something along the lines of like the Archangel would like to see you to Muniel. And I'm like, Grand Priest. And so I drew Muniel having to report to the Grand Priest, and
that'd be so great.
Then I drew a picture of Dabra hugging Toa, and then Lucifer hugging.
Yeah, I was confused
Lilith.
about that, but that was before I knew everything. So I was like, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
There's also the parallel with Dragon Ball in this, with like the moon being a source of power. Like I thought that was pretty neat.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
He's got a tail and everything.
But you know,
They both have tails. Yeah.
That's the way that season, like the second half of this, picks up on so many of just like the little things in part 1, like the power of darkness, right? And how in part 2, Beelzebub is hindered because Forest Land has cloud coverage, and so he's not able to absorb the moonlight. And I'm like,
because it's a thriving area.
It's like when we're reading AF, we're always like, well, here's the wrinkle in this thing, but then it never pays off. But like, everything was being paid off.
Everything
in the
pays
second
off.
Half.
It's so good. Can I tell you what I loved about the episode? Well, not episode 1, but of the new arc is when everyone's just having a good time. They're jumping in the waterfall and diving in, and they don't do the typical thing in the story where the old guy is like, "I'm too old. I'm not gonna do this." Rao just fucking like goes. He jumps in the waterfall and like goes on the slide. Wee! I'm like, yes, give me that shit. It's so good.
He deserves to have a good time. You know, that guy's been through a lot.
Yeah.
I love this character now. I want the SH figure arts of him like now. Like it exists, but I'm like now gonna actively seek it out. And I want the tank.
You know, I loved Sandland, the manga, and I know I'm going to sound as the guy on We Got a Podcast who always likes to like things, but it's true. I like to enjoy things. I always open myself up to enjoying stuff, right? But I was just blown away. When we read Sandland, I liked it enough, right? The characters were a great part of the story, but when I put Sandland down and closed it, I didn't really think about it anymore. But then watching this, like, I love the adventures and interactions of Rao, Beelzebub, and Thief.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thief rules, man. All right. And I didn't feel that way about him necessarily in the manga. And just the way that the anime endeared me to all of these characters so much more in such deeper ways. I was just really and truly blown away by the whole thing.
I have to reread the manga now because I in a different mindset now because for whatever reason I didn't. It's almost the same story beat for beat, right? Like and it felt nice in this anime when we got to this ending of that first arc. I'm like, wow, that would have been a nice like encapsulated story that does exist in the manga. Why didn't I enjoy it that much? But I don't know. I got to go back and read it.
So let's talk about a complaint that you had, Doug, about the manga is that you wanted a flashback scene.
Of what?
About Rao when he was Shiva. And you got that in the anime.
Oh, maybe that's why I like this.
And I complained about the Insect Man, singular, being a little underwhelming. And I got Insect Men and a big battle with Beelzebub.
That seems so much more natural in this. Yeah, the flashback and the inclusion of multiple that's great. Oh my God, yeah.
The reason why Ken likes that is because it's like Z Movie 6, where we don't have one Kula, we've got a lot of them.
Maybe.
6 apologists
I'm not
here.
discounting that, but I loved it. And it worked for the medium. So that's important. And when you're adapting something, the changes you make reflect the medium that you're in. And so I think just having the one Insect Man show up and it just kind of being a really lackluster interaction,
a B tier villain kind of thing, like,
and
it's the real final boss. But
it's instead turning into a big army of them fits the aesthetic of a movie or a TV show instead.
I forgot the manga just had one Insect Man. Really, that seems so lackluster. But that was great. And it served the same purpose, like whether it was one Insect Man or multiple. Like at the end, the story went to the same area, perfectly fine. So it was great, a great decision by them.
Did you guys think that Zayu was going to come back in the second half?
No. Didn't he die? What happened to him?
I don't think he's dead, and I thought he pretty definitively died in the manga. But in the anime, I was under the impression that he could still, like, he Team Rocket blast off again. But
oh, that's right. Yes.
I kept expecting him to show back up.
No, I didn't think that. Did you, Randy?
Well, that's so they could have some fun in like season 4 to be like, guess what?
Right.
He's still around. Like, but no, I didn't think about it, I guess, because in my mind for the manga, it's like, oh, he's dead. And they're not going to change that. But I guess they could.
Well, because they started referencing him in part 2. They said, like, oh, the treaty has been weakened since Zayu was defeated. And then Bread got all of his, has to be part cyborg because of Zayu.
He's like, they're like, the king is not, a war is just lasting on his mind. It's like, yeah, but Zayu can manipulate the king and start a war and all that kind of shit. It's like, okay, they brought him back, but I think they did a good job of like not really towing that line of like, he might be here kind of thing. He might return or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was his own individual arc, and I like that.
So these new characters,
good stuff.
These new characters, we've got Mooniel, Anne, Bread, Lilith, and effectively Lucifer, right? We really get to see him do some cool stuff.
Do something.
How did you feel about all the new characters? Like, and do you feel like you love them as much as the core cast beforehand? Do they feel natural part of this world?
For me, Anne took me until like the final episode where I'm like, okay, I like her as much as everyone else. But for the longest time, I didn't really care much for her as much as the other group. I don't know. It's just something. I don't know. I don't know. Randy, do you agree or what?
I only watched this once, and I finished watching it like 3 weeks ago. So I have a terrible memory now. I used to have great memory as a child, and I'm like, what happened in this whole thing? So on Anne, I felt like I liked her. I don't have anything against her. I just didn't leave as much of an impression. Mooniel, absolutely, really liked him. Bread, he was an older dude, and he was part cyborg, and he wasn't all that evil. So but that's it. That's all I remember.
That's the charm of this whole story that Toriyama told this and later on is that, you know, these they're not all evil. They have another side to them. They have a rational side to them. Like, I guess, except for like the main evil guys of Zhao and the Angel, Zayu and the Angel. As long as there's one of those guys around, then everyone else has room to grow or whatever. But I really liked General Are and how he had that like. He had that flashback of like he has a reason to be like, oh my god, this is General Shiva, and like he deserves respect, and I if he says this is going on, then I'm going to believe him, kind of thing. And with Bread, it's kind of felt, like I said before, it kind of felt more the same. Like, this is just General Are again, and I don't know how I felt about that.
So for Are always seemed like the guy who was introduced as an antagonist at first, but he desperately wanted to believe in Rao, right? He was looking for every reason to believe in this guy. Yeah. And Bread, it was more of like it took him a lot longer to get there. He was resistant to it until Anne was in trouble, and then he and Anne have this discussion. It's kind of like heart to heart about their different...
I don't know. It felt more of a quicker turn, because wasn't his whole thing like, we need to use technology for violence to like make sure we're good?
Right.
And then it just took him seeing Anne like, oh, you saved my men, so you must mean well. What man would I be if I don't hang back and help you out or whatever? I don't know. It felt like more of an obvious turn more reason to turn needed to be there.
Well, I think his turn was the coup, right? So this was him turning back into who he was originally.
Okay.
But when this ended, I was like, God, I'm going to be crushed if they don't continue this.
Yeah, seeing Anne in the car, I had no qualms. I'm like, yes, these four, I'm down with. I'm down to F with these guys.
And of course, Anne is like the Bulma character. She's the mechanic.
Yeah. Mechanic, yeah. The girl.
Yeah, when she was doing the stuff with the Aquanium in the Garum and reactivating the original Peachy intent to turn stuff into water, I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I guess it's like Bulma. All right, I'll buy
it. Give me real Chrono Trigger vibes with the, what's her name? Lusa?
Yeah,
Luca.
so there's another, Toriyama connection of like the girls being the technologically advanced ones.
Yeah. leaving it open ended as with her being a demon, she could. I mean, because she really just used her demon power once as accident, like a scream
to yell. Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting her have to do that again near the end, like running from the explosion. Like she would scream and maybe push the thing back. But I like the setting better of Lucifer coming back and doing something.
Yeah, we got Beelzebub doing his little metallization attack where he goes like that. That felt Toriyama as hell, especially
loved it.
Yeah, when Beelzebub gets hit and he's still like staying in
he's still metallic.
Position. Yeah,
and then the tank's gonna fire at him again and with like a tank bullet, and they're like, "Can you handle this?" He's like, "Maybe," and they're like, "Maybe." We need more than that. It was perfect. There's so many moments in this series, the entire from beginning to end, where watching anime or whatever TV show alone, if something's funny, you don't really like audibly laugh. This made me audibly laugh many times, and it was great.
When I was going through this, the last 5 episodes I had left, I was trying to space these out, watch one at a time. And then when I guess it must have been episode 9, I was like, okay, I'm going to just sit down and watch episode 9. And then I ended up watching the remaining 5 because I was like edge of my seat,
I need to know.
Loving this show. Yeah. It was just awesome. Incredible.
For me, I didn't know there was an episode 13. Whatever I was watching it on before, it stopped at like episode 12. And so I was like literally last minute watching this before we needed to record this. Screw you, Weepy Gaming. I read your tweet and you don't know me, but you do. So, but yes, I did binge this.
I got to watch it with Andrew, which was good, so that I got to laugh out loud.
Oh, good.
Yeah, otherwise I can't bring myself to laugh out loud if I'm alone.
Dude, me neither. That's the thing. That's the magic of the show that like I don't. So maybe I do without realizing, but this one made me realize like, oh, I'm alone. There's no one here to like choke up a laugh, like a forcibly kind of like this is a genuine like ha ha. Out of my voice.
I really hope they do more because I thought that what they did, and I guess I don't really know. I didn't really dive too deep into finding out like, okay, how much influence or anything did Toriyama have in the second arc, or is it just kind of like, well, here's some general ideas and whatever. You guys cook up what you got to cook.
So let's kind of talk about that real quick here. So first of all, a Toriyama comment. I just want to get Doug. I was going to weaponize this against you, and Randy, perhaps maybe weaponize this against you a little bit.
Bring it on.
The question towards Toriyama was, what do you think about Sandland being made into a movie after 23 years? To which Toriyama says, "To me, anyone who tells me that this is fun is truly a god tier fan who really gets me. I suppose is how I feel."
That's how you weaponize.
Yeah. So, Doug, that was coming your way.
You would throw that, yeah. Toriyama himself calling me a not fan.
So
not
here,
a god tier fan.
Now, again, all of these bits are courtesy of Kanzenshuu translations. In regard to the anime, Toriyama said, the Sandland project started out as a game and then also got an animated series afterwards. I remember that when I first saw the character designs, I thought it was for a game, but then as things moved forward, I started realizing it was an animated series after all. And as it moved forward still, I was surprised to realize it was actually both. So, wow. Yeah, this second half stuff was moving on ahead of his involvement. So, right. Toriyama continues and says, when I saw the outline they'd written for the continuation of the original story, the Angel Hero arc, it was also drenched in drama and fast-paced developments right from the start. So, they'd already had the outline for him.
Okay, good.
And then he says, I then contributed the character designs for some new characters, like the angel Muniel and Anne, the background information for Muniel, as well as some story ideas. And with that, the continuation was completed. So, relatively minimal involvement from Toriyama here.
Mm-hmm. I guess like just giving him his like okay, and like he gave it to him. So,
if you had told me that this was Toriyama from top to bottom, I'd believe you.
Yeah, that's what I was worried of getting into the Angel arc. I'm like, it almost didn't feel it, but it slowly got back to like, no, this totally feels like they got it at least.
Yeah, and then
way more than GT did.
Yeah, and they're dropping. So when they go and they talk about what the Doom Lands, I think it's called in the dub, from where the Peachy explosion happened before.
Right. There's no insects or life anywhere in there.
Yeah, and they just mentioned it, and I was like, oh, yeah, they're talking about Rao's backstory. I never thought they would bring it up again. And then it pays off and comes back. I'm like, oh my God.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love all the old characters that are like, that can remember like back in the, because that's a problem with a lot of like modern movies and whatnot, is that there's always this story of like the adults, and you forget that the adults were once kids until it's like put into the story. But this one makes you really think about, oh yeah, this is General Rao back when he was Shiva and everything, and shows all that. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Every time you see an old character, I'm like, oh, they're gonna flash back to him younger, and we're gonna get to see some lore.
Now I'm going to think about that every time I see an old man, old woman character. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what they're
to see their
flashback.
Like.
Yeah.
The
Chekhov's aged person is what they call that.
I can't really think of anything in this stretch of episodes that didn't feel Toriyama to me.
Wow. High praise.
Like even like Lucifer, right, is a one-note character in the original manga who's scary. He's just reading a book, and then he tells Beelzebub he needs to do his homework or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But that was all that they needed, this staff needed to extrapolate on his character for the second half. And he's like watching a cartoon. I had to go back and pause on the frame.
I wanted
the
to. What was it though?
It's a skunk and a cat. So I believe it's supposed to be something like Pepe Le Pew and whatever the cat's name was.
Like a Looney Tunes type thing. I was half expecting it to be like Dragon Ball or something like that, like a little.
Well, that's what I was going to check for. Yeah. So I buy him watching cartoons, right? That's such a Toriyama thing to do.
He's so chill, watching in his chair, watching this TV right there.
Yeah, and then doesn't he still tell Beelzebub he needs to work on all that homework again or something? You know, and then he turns to
go brush your teeth or whatever.
Is it Lilith he turns to and says, good job? Or no, it's Beelzebub. He says, good job. So there's still like a spark. And it's another thing, you know, with Toriyama is, we've talked about this before, is that like the gods are inept, right? And that's kind of like Muniel seems that way. And that like the demons are the good guys and the angels are the bad guys.
Yeah.
You might remember a super ending song called An Evil Angel and a Righteous Devil. Perhaps that has some meaning for you there. That was the one with all the manga panels.
That's one thing that kind of like, it was like a nitpick for me, but like, not even really. Like, the story does just such a good job of making me not even care about the little nitpicks. But it's the thing where like demons are supposed to be, I guess, evil in this world, but obviously they're not. But Beelzebub and everyone around always like proves the opposite, that they're actually like good. But they're still like saying like, no, I'm evil and I'll do this. But they're not really like pick a side is what I'm trying to say. Like they don't really feel like that.
Now that shtick is funny, man. That's great.
It is funny. It's just like if it's laid out and you look at it, it doesn't make sense when it's like I'm evil, but I'm not.
Every 1 out of 30 times I don't wash my hands after peeing.
Just the worst kind of person to have.
It's like, why are they revered as evil to the humans then if they're not really doing anything evil? Like that's the weird part.
Because it's showing you that the humans are the ones who are evil.
Oh, and it's our prejudice against them just from what they're looking, their looks. I get you.
Yeah, they scapegoat the demons to absolve themselves of sin.
Gotcha.
Really makes you think. Geopolitical climate, you know.
You know what I'm saying? One part, one missed opportunity I was hoping would happen near the end with that giant dragon lizard from like the sand lizard that jumps up in the sky.
Yeah.
I thought Rao's plan when he was going to jump over one of the molehills of it was going to be like, he shoots a tank bullet at the molehill to like kind of summon it. I thought it was going to come up first and then they would ride the dragon up to the Garum thing and then like shoot at it or whatever to like bring it down. But instead they just let it eat him, which I guess the ends they got into the Garum spaceship or whatever. But I thought it'd been so cool if they like rode it, like if just the timing was just right where the dragon comes out and they like on the tank ride it up.
Well, Rao is always one step ahead. They added something in the tank battle in the first half where he shoots out a chaff grenade. That was not in the manga.
Oh, what?
Yeah, just awesome.
Yeah. I fucking love Rao now. I don't know why I didn't in the manga. I gotta reread.
I love all of them. Yeah, this is such an iconic cast of characters, and I really want them to continue. Now, the game does continue the story.
Ooh.
Past the
I do believe
Angel Hero arc?
There are new characters, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I gotta play the game now, or at least the
Let's
demo.
see. Let's head over to Steam and purchase.
There's so many moments in this story that I'm like, oh man, I wish this was a game. I would love to play this segment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, the game. I have to remind myself, yeah, a game does exist.
The whole part where they're it's Anne and Rao and Thief fighting bread in like that box factory. I'm like,
And yes,
I
that's
see
exactly
how this
what I
is
was
a
thinking
game.
of.
Yeah.
Me too.
You have the tank battle, and then it switches you back to Anne. You have to
and
do
she
some
manually
puzzle
controls
up
the
here.
robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the boxes and everything. Yeah. Man.
It wore its intentions on its sleeve in that way, for sure. But
So last summer, we did a manga review, and this summer we're doing the anime review. Next summer, guys, are we going to be playing the Sandland game and
video
talking
game
about
review.
it?
yeah, the Steam sale will be like $2 next year.
Yeah. Our annual Sandland extravaganza. Like,
Right.
we do it at least
That same
once.
email, yeah, I got about the game being on sale. Also, Breakers was on sale again for $20. That collector's edition with the cell figurine or whatever. So maybe Sandland will get down to $20. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, the collector's edition with the cell figure is $20.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's still like $15 for shipping and handling. But
Oh, yeah.
'cause I think it was at 20. It's been at 20 before. I think that was your reason for not getting it. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
$20.
You know,
Well,
I had written out all these notes. We didn't even talk about the swimmers, dude.
Oh, I love the swimmers.
You know.
They're so great. The swimmers.
Yeah, it's an RA and his team coming back in the second half, or the King in the second half. You know, we didn't talk about any of this stuff. We barely touched Lilith. Just an incredible expansion of the world. I can't love it enough. This is something that if they ever put it out on Blu-ray, I will 100% be purchasing it. I need it in my collection.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Lilith feel like, well, I guess not Lilith, but did Anne feel like they really wanted to make her and Beelzebub siblings as opposed to uncle and niece? Because they don't really do anything with it after it's been discovered, right?
Yeah, they do. There's the whole thing about the power of the night, and then Anne's like, no.
But I mean, there's no like, I'm your uncle, so listen up, kid, or whatever. Like nothing like that. It's just kind of like acknowledged and dropped. I think they wanted to make them siblings, but they really couldn't because then that would mean that Lilith remarried or like had another fling with another person. Like because there's the Lucifer, but then there's King Jam. You know, it wouldn't work out that way. You know what I mean?
I guess.
She'd have to have kids with two different fathers, is what I'm saying, and they didn't want to do that in the anime, so the only other way to do it was to make, them uncle and niece.
I like the way it ended up. I think it's cute.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's such like a small little guy, but he's the uncle.
Yeah.
So another subversion.
That's what I'm saying. I wish they just played a little more with that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we all had a good time because it's such a good property, and I hope they do more. And I think that we all want to see more. So, fingers
I would
crossed.
say if it was done here, I think I'd be fine. Like this is a nice, concise story. I wouldn't want them to go the GT route and making it worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility. But guys, are you excited for the movie? I mean, that's coming.
Explain that to me. Why is there a movie? What is the movie going to entail?
So the movie,
Just a retelling, is it?
the movie came first. The movie is the first, 6-7 episodes. It's just the manga.
Okay.
And then they just recut that into TV episodes and then did a second arc. And I think there's some evidence that it was always going to be a TV show, and they just recut it into a movie for the first thing and got that out earlier.
Well,
But is it its own separate thing, or can you obviously tell like, oh, this scene was from the movie and the exact same scene?
I mean, it's the same footage. They just added some scenes here and there, and
so it is
opening and
exact
ending
same
thing.
footage.
It's
Oh,
the exact
wow.
same thing.
I think in the second half, it feels a lot more like I'm watching something made for TV
Yeah.
than I felt with the first 6. Like there's a scene when Muniel has like a little crater in the ground in front of him, and he's so poorly composited in that scene that I'm like, okay, I see. And like the backgrounds look a little bit, I don't want to say cheaper, but they, you know what I mean.
Right.
So, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know unless they start giving interviews about this kind of stuff. And
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's just so strange to kick this whole thing off and be like, there's a movie and there's a game. Like, all right, cool. And then they're like, the movie's coming out everywhere just a little bit later. And then before they could get to that, they're like, we recut it into a TV show and that's going to be aired everywhere. Movie's still coming. Like, who cares?
This
like,
can't be the most confusing thing for a casual fan such as myself to like follow along with and like find out what's happening, what's going on. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah. So.
And it's interesting because we get 2 Toriyama shows the year he died.
Yeah.
And we got
Daima?
Sandland
Daima's
and then
coming
Daima.
this fall.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, well, Daima is going to have to live up to what we just watched, I think. I think Sandland sets such a high bar.
But also reassured, because if they can get Toriyama's feelings, like his style across, without him mostly, I guess with the second arc of Sandland, then I trust them with Daima.
But it's a different crew, and it's the person who wrote Digimon Tri.
Then I'll never watch the Daima.
So, well, we're going to watch it for the show. So, you're locked in.
Damn it, for the content.
And because we're fans, we want to see how it goes.
I'll definitely watch it no matter what. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that's kind of where we're going to cut that off here, but we've got more stuff to talk about, like what you guys had to say and, other things coming up. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey there. Welcome back to the show you're listening to. We got a podcast.
That's right.
I'm Rusty because it's been a few weeks since we recorded. I don't know how to do this anymore.
He's changing his name to Rusty. Welcome to We Got a Pod. I'm Rusty.
We got a pad.
I'm dimly lit.
As always, Ken up here in our social media is taking care of stuff. Put out the call and asked for your thoughts on the Sandland anime as a whole, and specifically the second arc that they had. So, Ken, why don't you kick this one off with a message from Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob Sawyer writes in and says, love the adaptation of the manga. The new material grew on me as I watched. Still a gem, even though I don't think the original story needed to be added on. And yeah, of course. Yeah, the original was standalone. You never needed to add to it, but they did.
I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have enjoyed it, a newly lit discovery of that I actually enjoy this story, had it not been for it.
That's true. So thank you, various studios that brought us this. Cage says, despite having watched it as it aired, I still haven't really formed a solid opinion on the Forestland stuff. I had a mostly good time watching it, but it just didn't feel nearly as strong as the manga adapted content. I can't even exactly pinpoint what it was missing, though. I think you and I are kind of in the same boat. I mean, these boys are talking me into it slowly, but, we've got pure Toriyama. I mean, didn't even have an assistant working on this.
Something about it is like super like solid, whereas the forest arc was like a little more like adventurous and not as solid, but still great.
Yeah.
You can't beat Toriyama storytelling, man. Like from his pen, you can't.
They came pretty damn close, and so I'm still calling it a 10 out of 10. You came as close as humanly possible.
Yeah. Toriyama's ethereal, so that's as close as you can get.
Yeah. When we reviewed the manga, we had no idea that they were going to do the second half continuation of the story, right?
Oh, yeah.
No.
And so to be given this little treat, we already, Randy and I, Doug was a hater who we don't talk about. We don't talk about past Doug.
No, he's dead to us.
But, we all loved the manga just on its own. And I've totally lost what I was trying to say here, but it was incredible to get that. And to follow up on it was an impossible task. And they did it. And they did it. They did it as good as you could ever expect in your highest imaginations. They did it.
Yeah. Comparing that to GT, it's just like immeasurable. Like this is, they did it. In like a sense that they could, so they had a possibility of not doing it as GT showed us, but they did it.
Yeah. And I remember when they first announced that the Sandland project, it was like, you're bringing Sandland back? Well, why?
Yeah.
Dude.
24 years later?
So glad they
blessed. Gabe writes in at Damon Court and says, the new arc, plus the changes to the first one, really condense all Toriyama's eccentricities into a best-of compilation, like an accidental celebration of his life. Absolutely loved it. Smiley face crying, and hands in like a prayer pose. And then he quote retweets his tweet from back in May. And I'm just going to read the first tweet of this. It says, "And that's Sandland. For being the last Toriyama-involved project, I appreciate how it takes the best bits of what made his past work so good and condense them into a single arc. Part of me wishes for more, but I doubt they'd be able to replicate that magic without him." But as we've discussed, this was really put together without him for the most part.
Yeah.
I wonder truly how much involvement he did have, but yeah, from what you said, not really much.
Yeah.
No, not a lot. So it's impressive.
Just approval.
I hope these people, that made this specifically get to continue. And, if it's more Sandland or adapting other things like Kajika or, have their hands in the soups of Daima and things that come up later.
Yeah.
They're pretty good stewards of, his oeuvre. So we'll see how it
So
I'm just
goes.
they do a bunch of 13 episode seasons, but each one is the first 6 episodes is the original Toriyama work, and then a continuation.
There you go. That'd be fun.
I'm just glad the voice actor of Luffy's getting work still, so that's great.
Yeah. She really does not. No one knows her anymore.
I really thought that was her, and I'm like, isn't she busy with One Piece? But yeah.
And then we've got Michael So Long and Thank You Sensei. Metallics MT says, "A great unintentional tribute to Toriyama, filled with great Toriyama-isms that you don't see in Dragon Ball. Muniel clearly clears so many anime originals from Dragon Ball, it's not even funny. It's a shame that it's largely been ignored by Dragon Ball fans in favor of Daima." I would agree. I don't think I saw a lot of people talking about this. Granted, I've kind of not been out on the socials all that much, but I don't know, I didn't hear a lot of fanfare about it. Probably because we didn't get that movie in time. But
yeah. There's probably the initial love of it just because it is a Toriyama thing. You can tell just by the art style that is such a Toriyama art style. Oh, this is awesome. But I don't know how many people actually watched or enjoyed it.
This is something that needed to go to Toonami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, how good would it do on there? That would be amazing on there.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the kind of thing that would just have really succeeded there, and it's a shame.
Yeah, damn.
Thanks, Disney.
But going into this, I didn't really have any expectations of what it was going to be like. I have expectations for Daima.
True.
So,
yeah. Let's see what else we got here. So we talked about that. We have Spotify stuff. So if you don't know, over on Spotify, for every episode we put out, there is a poll and a Q&A. A little more chance for you guys to shout out, let us know what you guys are thinking about stuff. So we actually have 2 episodes to cover because we recorded 2 of them kind of back to back to give me the time to move and all that other fun stuff. So
you say time to move. You hired movers. I don't know what you spent an hour out of your whole day doing this.
2 hours.
I'm just when I move, it takes me 2 days because I'm doing it myself. Because my dad's like, "You could do it, Douglas," and I'm like, "All right."
Your dad talks to you? I thought you
through the telephone. He was like, "Get this done by tomorrow."
We did that Dragon Ball Merch and Us episode, and our Q&A. What's a piece of Dragon Ball merch you wish you could get? And we had some good ones. Tinkletown says, DBZ Vegeta Super Saiyan poster. I don't know which one, but man, maybe it'll be there in your future. Jacob Sawyer says, my wish would be artwork autographed by Toriyama. Oh, yeah, man. Gosh.
I mean, I guess it does exist out there, but
right?
I don't know.
Saban, imaginary complete level set spanning original to GT. So
those level sets. Oh my God, how happy I was when it was in existence and then ripped away from us.
Look, man, in 10 years, the upscaling tech is going to really be where we need it to be. So just give it time.
They have the film. They could just scan it in at a higher resolution. We don't need to upscale.
Just has to add a little bit of grain every single release until 20 years from now. They can release. They can just take the grain out. But look at this HD upgrade.
I also don't want to skip this. In Saban's response, he also says, P.S. Great Ocelot impression. You're pretty good. So
nice.
Good job, Ken. You did a Revolver Ocelot impression.
Are you talking about the cat yell?
That, you certainly did that. I think you did something else too.
Oh, the six bullets thing.
When you whipped out the gun, the real gun, and just spun it around in your office.
And then a ninja came out of your closet and cut your arm off. It was pretty cool.
Just call me Deep Throat.
CJ Love said, rock the dragon set, but not for a fortune. More Kanzenban style character figures and an English release of the French Blu-ray. # Dragon Ball Wii.
Kanzenban style figures. That's interesting. That'd be pretty dope.
That French set has been awfully silent about where it's going forward. I think they got in trouble.
Do you think? What?
I
Why?
think they did.
What do you mean?
They
did it without permission?
They probably upscaled it without permission and added in the broadcast audio without permission.
Oh, damn.
I would assume. That's a guess.
I need to cop that before it goes away then.
It's good stuff. So then the poll we had, I asked, will you fall into the same trap as Doug? And we had for merch and figures and things.
That kind of
Two
trap,
options. Yeah. Trap, here I come, which was the winner. A bunch of people are not going to be getting into figures.
Let's go.
And the saner 40% of people said, no figures for me, please.
The quitters said no figures for me.
The people with a good brain.
You can't even get just one, because that's how you end up with Doug's burgeoning Naruto collection.
Jesus Christ, the Narutos.
And the last one we had, which was Young Gigi's AF Part 3, the Q&A, nobody answered anything, which was, what are your feelings on Super Saiyan 5 in this manga? Y'all were silent. I will take that as glowing praise. You love it. You can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
You want to see more.
Sounds like they got brain damage from the divine electromagnetic wave.
Yes. And then our Q&A was thoughts on Oob's new transformation. 100% of people said super rad. So nobody said could be better. Nobody said ugly design me no likey. So super rad is good. He didn't have a say in that at all. Okay, that should be it, except for I did get some trivia from Zenpai this afternoon.
You traitor.
So
every podcast.
Every time I get you, Doug, you're not expecting it, and then boom, there it is. So I've got 3 questions for you guys, and I want you to put on your answering hats and be ready for question number 1. How many chapters does the Sandland manga have? Kenneth.
Is it 12?
It's not 12. Doug, do you care to steal the point?
I'm going to say 14.
Doug gets the point somehow. Exactly on the money.
Oh, wow.
He put on the hat. He got the answer. I don't know if it's whispering it to him.
It is. It says, go on.
His hat is a dragon radar pillow.
Well, no, his hat is a big fluffy watch.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. When was Sandland serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump? I said this earlier.
About 2000. Sorry.
You want a month?
Lost points.
I got 2 months between what and what. 2000 is correct.
April and March.
Oh, it's like June and August, isn't it?
May and August. So I'm going to give it to Ken. Also because Doug said April to March, which would be a full year.
Is this thing broken? This thinking hat needs new batteries.
Batteries?
That's my time. Thank you, folks. I'm out.
No, he can't leave now. We've locked him in until we answer the third question.
To the chair.
Besides Kamikaze Doga and Anima, which other anime studio co-produced the Sandland animated film?
Sunrise.
Last House.
You're right with Sunrise, Ken. Good job.
You sure it was me with Last House?
Because I saw Sunrise and I was like, oh, the Gundam guys?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
That's how you know that care was put into this, because Toei had nothing to do with it.
They probably would have put the movie out, though. I'm going
Green.
to be harping on that forever. So, too bad. So sad. I wanted to add something else into our thing here at the end. For professional corrections to the things that we say, trivia questions, and just to have an all-around good time, you can tune in to twitch.tv/VegettoEX on most Saturday nights, 8 8 p.m. Eastern,
8
7 p.m.
a.m.
Central. Yeah, man. Saturday morning Mario Kart. Ooh, that actually sounds fun. But no, it's at nighttime. So Kanzenshu Mario Kart featuring the three of us and some other people. It's essentially an unhinged, unofficial Kanzenshu cross. We got a crossover podcast every weekend. And it's good because Mike, Vegito EX himself of Kanzenshu fame, gets to roast us after listening to our episode to tell us the things that we got wrong, which is what I've dreamed of since I was a wee boy. So
he's so blunt about it. She was like, Randy, what's that thing you guys said last time? He was wrong, and I need to address it.
But I need you to remember so I can yell about it in 5 seconds. And I just let it wash over me. I'm like, yes, this is all that I wanted.
It's great.
I'm coming.
So thanks for listening. We love interacting with you and keeping you in the conversation, talking about our favorite franchise in the world. You can post at us on our socials at We Got a Pod, and of course you can email us at wegottapod@gmail.com.
Thank you to Rifti Beats for letting us use the track Kakarot theme hip hop trap remix. You can find that track and other great music by Rifti on his SoundCloud. Ken, where can the people find you?
You can find me and all of my Sandland Cross Dragon Ball fan art at Detective X on Twitter.
Nice. Randy?
You can get me at Saber_Breaker. Doug, what about you?
I am Drbaz Doug, on the socials.
Have we on this podcast talked about what Drbaz is short for?
We must have. I don't think they need a reminder.
What if we keep it a mystery?
As Toriyama says, the God tier fans. Yeah.
Well, on that note, if you're a God tier fan, make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast and make sure that you are leaving us a review and telling all of your friends about We Got a Podcast. Who else is covering Sandland? Kanzenshu doesn't have a podcast about it yet.
Ooh, they don't.
I'm afraid to say.
Don't.
I'll listen to it when they do
SH
it, but
they don't have an SH figure arts of Beelzebub, do they?
yeah, I don't think they do. Grab your nearest.
Mike has that plush keychain
right,
thing.
And on that, grab your nearest ending to this episode. And we will catch you, Montanator.
See ya.
Bye.